Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Carmine's Arena, a cultural gourmet of information, if you will, a feast for your mind and soul. And now, without further delay, the man, the myth, the maestro, Carmine Arena.
Greetings and welcome once again to Carmine's Arena, site of conflict and contest, venue for and of resolution. Resolution in terms of focus, remedy, and commitment, both yours and mine, to the preservation, the propagation, indeed the celebration of Western civilization. Recently, there's been a veritable spate of accusations reaching epidemic proportions via females coming forward with revelations of molestation perpetuated by males in the position of power. These shrill, finger-pointing choruses of women, courted by the media, would have us believe in their helplessness, as if the species dwelled in the feudal period. The period, for example, of droit de nuit, that is to say, the right and privilege of the lord of a fiefdom to have first dibs at bedding a newlywed, ere her husband assumed his role to ad-lib. Said flurry of allegations are taken as truth and cause a scurry to hurry the payment of money, as the accused also surrenders his position to hire and or fire, often simply because he admired. Females claim they must forfeit their dignity and selfhood for a job, thus ceding their femininity to put their hands in the kitty. Ah, but what a pity. Female helplessness, in great measure, is a myth. Nothing is more overpowering than the proud stance of a lady. Back when I taught choristers and was also the school's dean of discipline, I quickly and clearly learned the invisible armor which protected the ladylike from the school ruffians and rowdy vulgarians. The shield was impenetrable and ever bolstered by vigilant parents. I was often sadly amused by schoolgirls who thought they could have it both ways. Ladies on some days and flirts on another. That irregularity led to their complaint and calamity, and found me their dean to whom they complain in vain, assured of my disdain for their rattle-brain and goody-good campaign. And so I informed them that they alone made themselves an item of shame. Girls who long to behave as boys have themselves to blame self-same, but want desperately to change the rules of the game. Now, hear this. Legal powerhouse Lisa Bloom tried to line up big paydays for women who were willing to accuse President Trump of sexual misconduct during the final months of last year's election. Bloom worked with Democratic campaign donors and tabloid media outlets to arrange compensation for the alleged victims and a commission for herself, offering to sell their stories. In one case, Bloom reportedly arranged for a donor to pay off one Trump accuser's mortgage and attempted to score a six-figure payment for another woman. The former ultimately declined to come forward after being offered $750,000. Bloom, who is the daughter of the notorious attorney Gloria Allred, and like her mommy, specializes in representing women in sexual harassment cases. She worked for 4 women who were considering accusing Trump. 2 went public and 2 declined. Gloria Allred is a symbol of our litigious age, a woman who lavishes insincere sincerity on clients, standing before flashing cameras, with Gloria holding a loving arm around their shoulder, heavily burdened by uncurbed greed and screed, by clients' weak need. This tableau vivant is what Allred invariably flaunts in what for me is a sickeningly cloying display of egomania set on media. And speaking of media, reminds me of old radio with soap operas, dramas, and current news, which kept me glued to my seat. The voices one heard were sanitized of regionalism, and delivery was trained balance of treble and bass ranges, which remove shrillness, nasality, or any other vocal tick we get so much of today, particularly from the female of our species, who squeaks and squawks are a merciless trial for any stomacher. A few memorable lessons in elocution would serve success of showmanship, where finally loveliness of face would equal its sonant lyric symmetry. American women, in particular, are monotones. Compare them when you're able to Irish lasses, and you'll experience the ease of beauty as opposed to the wheeze of snooty. I'm sure you heard women defend themselves in America by calling their vocal critics sexist in some raspy voice. Our era has made a mockery of the America I grew up in. For example, Boston University professor claims the Christmas Carol Jingle Bells is racist, perhaps White Christmas is also racist, and Baby, It's Cold Outside is sexist. The America I grew up in was one in which produced Mark Twain, who could write a short story titled A Dog's Tale, wherein he confesses that his mother was a collie and his father a Saint Bernard and he a Presbyterian. This humorist also wrote the American seminal novel Huck Finn. Excuse me. Huck Finn, which has been condemned for being racist by those who can't read but carry about an attitude in quietude and conclude all things from yesteryear are rude and intrude and deserving of a feud. If they could perhaps incubate wisdom, they would in time recalibrate and cease to reflexively underrate. Satire is a wonderful learning tool that takes on to an eternal finishing school, I should say. Humor, as I've reminded my listeners time and again, is a cleanser of the human error. It is our moral gyroscope that steadily points to the true north of heaven's retreat. Those who are immoral know they're wrong and due correction. Those who are amoral, lacking introspection, befoul their existence with putrefaction and redemption held in suspension. The Boston University theater professor cited is a bumpkin and perhaps a relapsed actor who can't sing jingle bells in tune, sans sounding jejune. One of those left-leaning minds who needs a plumb line or two porcupines on either side to keep aligned, even if and when opioid blind. Lest you think I exaggerate, Chicago's mayor, Rahm Emanuel, who heads a murderous and menaced victimized population in his Democratic stronghold, refuses the help of the National Guard, but wouldn't mind the help of the United Nations peacekeeping force, a force known to flee if attacked. After all, this force is an abstraction with no native loyalty to steady its sphere. Excuse me. The reality boils down to a continuation of a high murder rate, particularly impacting African Americans. This, while Emmanuel, a modern-day Nero, whistles a happy tune, joined by his democratic choruses, linked like sausages. I've but one question. In the ugly face of this madness, where are the feds? Anarchy in America, no matter where it is anarchy, ready to strike while we rest unaware. The American dream become a nightmare, our welfare to become threadbare. Yes, indeed, where are the feds? Were Emanuel instead a Republican mayor of Chicago, indifference to blacks killed daily, he would rightly be condemned a racist. Being, of course, a Democrat makes him a rhapsodist calling on the United Nations when he can't even unite Chicago. If the rhapsodist were mayor of Tel Aviv, Israel would say goodbye to Jerusalem, where he had his son bar mitzvahed. In Judaism, a 13-year-old boy is thereafter held accountable for his actions, which suggests Rahm Emanuel has yet to grow into a man, let alone a mensch. Left-wing chutzpah forever feels that its skewed attitude looks, and I quote, looks better on me than thee. I feel that the attitude should best hang from a Judas tree, where it would grow less carefree of ghoulish glee. The hard left regards betrayal as part of its radical strategy and sees little need for civility, nor its standards. May the tactic backfire as it has been said of Judas himself. Judas, who didn't hang himself as a result of guilt, but did so because he discovered that the 30 pieces of silver he was paid were counterfeit. Yes, Rahm Emanuel, mayor of Chicago, shall one day appear for that final judgment. Might I suggest he use Satan for his defense attorney? Now there's a shyster if there ever was one. Shyster for those who knew, of those new to this epithet, is a person especially a lawyer, who uses unscrupulous, fraudulent, or deceptive methods in the conduct of their profession, usually at exorbitant hourly rates, rates which follow the letter of the law, but rarely its spirit. Those lawyers enjoy the barrenness of a busy life. According to Oliver Wendell Holmes, lawyers spend a great deal of time shoveling smoke. Now that's busy. Moreover, lawyers are like beavers, though not as acute. They get in the mainstream and dam it up. Would that lawyers were a rarity, but their abundance, page after page after page, in thick telephone books, is a reality that should give us pause about the spate of this litigious constant. The American Bar Association, the AMA, is a so-called ethical investigative body that does naught but protect its membership. Writing a complaint to this ethical body is like holding on to an oily pole. However strong your argument, nonetheless brings us together. Excuse me. Brings us together a slippery sisterhood of ducks and dodgers that have little to do with do's and don'ts, but repetitions of we won't, we won't. We won't call into question the conduct of any of our cohorts, save for a once in a blue moon exception of face-saving groom. Yes, indeed. As has been said, the law is an ass, and in another sense, its practitioners are gas. Now, hear this recent report. It's about the acclaimed artist Chuck Close, whose massive portraits reside in the world's top museums. He is facing allegations from several women that he sexually harassed. He sexually harassed them when they came to his studio to pose for him. "I've never had a complaint in 50 years, said Mr. Close, who is now, get this, 77 years of age, and to boot is a quadriplegic with limited use of his arms and legs, his body relegated to a wheelchair." These women, with their greedy allegations, have no sense of art, artist nor aesthetics, just their presently hungry, open purse. Mr. Close tries to live a complete, full life to the extent possible. He stated that given his extreme physical limitations, I have found that utter frankness is the only way to have a personal life. Yes, a hungry purse seems to rob women from fleeing with their skirts up, whereas it's so much more difficult to catch any with one's pants down. Add quadriplegic to this tableau, and you end with slapstick, non-symmetric and inauthentic. Yes, indeed, mythic. I have a story regarding what we as a society are doing to the female trained for allegation and finger-pointing. A young boy we know, who is now 13, was once a joyous, handsome lad who loved the girls, but from a distance, thanks to his mom's training. His mom, who had given each of her children, though a widow, a roof over their heads, food on the table, and a mighty fear of God. This youngster, 11 at the time, was pursued by 2 female schoolmates who offered to sleep with him. His response was surprise and confusion. He fled. The girls, annoyed by being turned down, reported to the school principal that they had been propositioned by the lad. He was immediately suspended without ever being questioned. Thus, this chap, who was doing brilliantly at school, suddenly became morose and requires, even now at 13 years of age, routine visit to a psychiatrist. He has become less the hail fellow well met he once was so endearingly set, but has become a target of the flibbity-gibbet feminist set. The battle of the sexes were once classroom skirmishes. Now they've become litigious, irreligious, androgynous, blasphemous, gluttonous, and venomous battles. The trouble with all society's mischief is that most particularly the hard left lack the ability to quarrel with themselves. Self-debate deflates mandates as it balances one unto fix coordinates in place. In this episode about to be closed, let us say my topics were more or less shelf-cleansing of those who evoke dust-ups like Rahm Emanuel, shysters, feminist locusts, and the unjust we must forever mistrust and forever encrust. Until next time, my dear, dear friends, allow me to say to you, ciao amici, and all who must learn to readjust. I thank you for your time and for listening. Be well and farewell.
If you have any comments or other remarks, and that I perhaps could even read on some of these broadcasts, please do not hesitate to write to me, Carmine Arena, P.O. Box 1029, Larchmont, New York 10538.